Well, hello, everybody. If you're here on campus, you hear the siren going off that goes off once a month, that emergency test siren. Don't be alarmed. It's just the monthly chat with the grad dean. It's like calling everybody to this monthly event. It is great to have all of you here. Of course, the questions that you want to ask us, we really want to address anything that's urgent for any of the people that are attending. So please don't hesitate putting those questions into the chat. But again, if you don't know who I am, I'm Monica Powell. I'm the Senior Associate Dean and Graduate Dean here in the Jindal School. I think every graduate student must know me because they see me 100 times or my name. But I'm delighted to have some folks with us for the monthly chat with the Grad Dean, including our new Associate Dean for Graduate Programs on Academic Operations. That's Dr. Mark Thouin, who is with us. He's also currently the Program Director for the Management, Science and Information Technology Management. We also have Angela Howard here. She's our Assistant Director on the graduate side of advising. She is the all-knowing being around everything you need for graduation requirements. She is the lead advisor and manages all the other graduate advisors. Always important to have Angela handy because she always gives us upcoming deadlines. Things are important that we want students to remember. And of course, the show is run by Norma Rodriguez, the Senior Academic Project Manager here in the Dean's office. Can't do anything without Norma. So thank you to all of you for being here. For those of you that have never attended a chat with a grad dean, you should know that Dean Powell is going to get a little bit philosophical and offer you some advice to sort of ponder at where you are. So I was thinking about, what was the topic that I wanted to cover today? And it dawned on me because of a conversation I had with a student a couple of weeks ago. This particular student sort of saw their experiences in life, and especially in the early part of their life, they were in their mid-20s, as they were sort of speaking as if everything that they were doing was like a dress rehearsal for the rest of their life. And so, therefore, they didn't necessarily have to make the most of the moment. And, that dawned on me at the time that this student said it, that, I kind of thought that way as a person in my 20s as well, that, this was all practice time, that the real life was going to come later when I got out of graduate school or got out of my PhD. But, as you get older, you get a little wiser. And the reality is while this is a place to test ideas and to test your skills and to test your approaches to how you do things, these things that you do now aren't a dress rehearsal. You need to do these things to the best of your ability every single time that you do it, and don't just chalk it off or say, well, I'll do that better the next time. I think lifelong success is about being incredibly disciplined in everything you do and acquiring that discipline really early in your life. And so I just want to remind all students that you're in graduate school to learn and to acquire, to become the best version of yourself. And when you are paying tuition for this experience, you shouldn't treat it like a dress rehearsal. You should go into every class saying, what am I going to put in to get the most out? When you don't put in the most every time, it doesn't mean by putting in the most that you're always going to get an A. You may put in the most and still get a B plus. That's great. But when you go at a class and say, I'm going to accept this standard of performance, and you don't put it all out there, you're going to leave something on the sideline, and you're going to have missed an opportunity to acquire excellence in something you didn't have before. You're going to miss the opportunity to acquire a skill set. You're going to miss an opportunity to learn something more about yourself so you do it better the next time. And it's hard. Folks, it's exhausting to go into everything you do to try to do it your best. I have lived that in my career work. I learned really early on in my first academic job at the age of 20, I think I was 26, that you can't do things you shouldn't do things halfway or 60% or 70%. You should go at it doing it 100%. And yes, that is exhausting. That is intimidating. That is sometimes scary because you're not going to succeed on everything you put 100% into. That means you have to learn from mistakes or failure or hitting at 40%. But you miss everything when you don't give 100%. So give 100% and you're going to get everything out of it that was intended for you to get out of it, to be and graduate the best version of yourself. It's about a life skill. I was talking to my son last night, and he was talking about the financial discipline that he learned from he and from me and his dad, and that he didn't realize. He's 30, been married a few years, has a couple of kids. He said, I never realized just how relentless you have to be about managing your finances so that you can be where you want to be in your 40s and where you want to be in your 50s. And it is about every day making a decision. Do I need this or do I want this? I care more about the discipline, and so I don't really need what I think I want, and I'm only going to invest in the things that we really need as a family to survive. And he goes, wow, I'm 30. This is hard work. And I look back on my parents and say, you had to do it every day. Well, I think you've got to go into every day. Not every day is going to be perfect. You're not going to feel 100% every day. There are going to be days that you're sick. There are going to be days where you can't bring everything to the table. But overall, you should every week make the most of every moment. And I think back to, what was it, Leonardo DiCaprio said that in the Titanic, that when he was sitting at that table around those bunch of rich people, and they asked him about his life, and he said, I got air in my lungs, and I learned that the most is making the most of that moment. Well, that's rather theatrical and dramatic, but I can tell you with no doubt that is how I've approached every day of my work life. And if you accept that and say, I'm going to give all of it. Sometimes I'm going to fail. I'm going to be at 90%. There might be a day that's really bad and I might be at 40%. But if you go into every day saying, I'm going to make the most of the moment, and this isn't a dress rehearsal for how I'm going to do it better next week, you are going to be so much more satisfied in knowing that you have no regrets. You did your very best. And even if you don't fully succeed 100% of the time, there was nothing more that you can do. That means you have to take your vitamins every day, drink lots of water, exercise, eat right, because you need a lot of energy to have that mindset. So I guess that's where I'm going to go philosophically today, as I tend to do. So those are my wise words of advice from the Grad Dean, who's lived a lot longer than all of you that are listening. And I hope that you'll think about that and apply that in your life, and apply that in how you approach class and really how you do everything. So that's my mantra. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let you think about that. And I'm going to pop over to Angela about upcoming deadlines, because students are reaching kind of the mid-semester point where they start thinking about, when is the class schedule going to be live? When am I going to be able to register for classes for fall? Or when do I need to be applying for graduation? Angela, can you talk a little bit about some of those deadlines that students should be thinking about right now?
Yes. Thank you, Dean Powell. So for right now, we've passed the census date for the spring semester. So we're not really doing any enrollments. The only enrollments we're doing will be the second 8-week enrollments for internships mostly, and that deadline will be March 25th. That's the last day you can enroll in your second 8-week class, which is most likely internship if you're a JSOM student. Beyond that, we have some deadlines coming up when it comes to dropping a class. So if you do need to drop a class at this point, you have until April 3rd. That is the last day that you can drop a class. You will get a W grade in the class, which means that it does show that you were in the course after census day, but it will not affect your GPA. And then if you need to repeat that class, you can take it again if you have a W. Those are the first big deadlines to remember.
And you don't get any refund for your tuition if you
Nothing comes
withdraw
back.
from a class. So just keep
Correct.
that in mind.
Yes, census day was the last day that you could withdraw from a full-term class and still get some type of refund. For the next semester's enrollment, we are a ways off, but it will come faster than you will realize. We will have the schedule starting March 25th. So start to look at your account for that. It's going to be on the main website, of course, for UTD in the course lookup. And you will then get your enrollment date for the fall that day. Of course, you do not start enrollment on the 25th of March. You will get your enrollment date in your Ryan account so that you can enroll in April. So don't come to us asking to enroll. We can't enroll you on March 25th. It's just a nice week of planning. And it usually will be the next week that you will start enrolling. For summer, it's the same thing. You will be able to plan starting March 25th. And then for summer, there's an open enrollment date. It's usually the first week of April. I believe will be April 3rd this year. So just start looking at that. Don't neglect your classes, of course, because you need to get the good grades this semester, but do start planning to see what you will want to take next semester, especially if you're getting close to the end of your degree with us. You want to find those fun classes that will benefit you in your career. So if you have any questions, let us know and reach out to your programs as well to start planning.
Angela, would you talk for a moment about the degree plans for students that are in e-learning and how they need to be using that as a tool?
Yes, so periodically we will upload degree plans into e-learning for you. You can use this as a tool when it comes to looking at your GPA if you're not doing the best, or just if you want to know what you may get in the next semester for your GPA. You could also use it to look at your core GPA, which is not usually in Orion. In Orion, it always shows you your cumulative or overall GPA, but in JSOM has a degree plan that we allow you to see your core GPA to make sure that it is up to the 3.0 requirement. And it is, as I said, a planning tool. So you can use it to see if you have completed enough of your core classes or completed enough of your electives. It is not the official end all be all of your degree plan. So that is always going to be what classes you have completed in Orion. That's what we use for graduation. But it allows you to have I would call it a snapshot of your classes so that you can say, okay, I have enough electives. I did my most times it's 6 electives. I'm good to go when it comes to that. So it is a nice planning tool that we use. Again, it's periodically. We don't upload it all the time, but whenever you change your classes or we enroll you in something, we do upload it usually at that time. And then for probation, it's a nice way if you want to see what classes you need to get that 3.0, I would say use that degree plan in e-learning.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Angela. Mark, I'm going to pop over to you for a moment because one of probably the greatest frustrations that current students experience is understanding when they need to have applied for a certificate. So can you talk about when you must have applied and why that matters to a student, because we have lots of academic certificates.
Right. Great. Thank you for that question. And you're absolutely right. This is a question I get all the time. And for everyone on this call, if you are interested in earning a certificate in addition to your master's degree or your MBA, whatever the case might be, right? You actually need to apply to be admitted to that certificate program. Okay, so just like you applied to be admitted to your master's degree or your MBA, right? You have to submit an application to be admitted to the certificate program, and that application, ideally, you should submit that application in your very first semester, right? Even if you're not sure if you're going to get a certificate, right? Just go ahead and submit it. There's no cost. It doesn't cost you anything to submit the application. Just go ahead and submit it, and that way, if at some point you decide to actually pursue the certificate, you can, right? And so ideally, you want to do that your very first semester. And we do have a large number of certificates that we offer, and the list of certificates are growing. But just plan ahead. You can actually apply to 2, 3, 4, or even 5 different certificates in your very first semester. And there's no cost, there's no penalty, there's no downside to doing just that.
And Mark, absolutely. And when is the latest the absolute latest that they need to have completed that application?
Yeah, so it has to be before your graduating semester. So you need to apply before your graduating semester from your MS program, your MBA, to that certificate program. Okay.
And one other element, not only does it have to be in the last semester before you graduate, but it has to be in the semester before you take the last certificate course requirement. So if you have completed all of the core courses, you cannot apply to get that certificate. You still have to have one remaining certificate class. So Mark gave the best advice, you guys. Look at our academic certificate page. I'm going to get Norma to put that into the chat. It probably already is there. And go ahead and apply for all of them. If you don't ever complete the courses to do it, just goes away. Nothing happens. It's not a failure to complete a certificate. So go ahead and look at all those options from an employer's perspective. Seeing that you're getting a master's degree plus 2 or 3 specialized certificates in courses that you would have taken anyway, it's just a bang for your resume. So Mark, can you talk from an employer perspective about how that might make a difference if you're doing business intelligence or cybersecurity or, something that's more technical?
Yeah, absolutely. So you do get to put your certificate on your resume, and employers value those certificates. And one of the nice things about most of our certificate programs is there's no additional cost. There are a few exceptions. So there are a couple of certificates that do have an extra cost, and usually that's because there's an exam tied to that certificate program that's offered by SAP or some other third party. But for most of our certificates, there's no additional cost, and you'll be able to put that on your resume, and it tells employers that you're an expert in that area. So if you pursue and earn our cybersecurity management certificate, right, that's telling employers you have expertise in that field, in that area. And that's valuable. That gets you noticed. That helps you get interviews. That helps you land jobs. So I'd encourage everyone, just given the breadth of certificates we have, right? There's a certificate for everyone, right? So look at what's out there. Look at what you want to do career-wise, and you should be able to find something that aligns with what you want to do. And this will help set you apart when it comes to job search and landing that great job.
Yeah, I think it's just a missed opportunity. When I was talking about making the most of the moment, make the most of the moment by getting those extra credentials while you can. Mark, can you also talk about just the importance of student engagement? I think that our students, so many of them think that it's all won and lost by their overall GPA, and they put everything into the courses, and they don't realize the importance of developing leadership skills or engagement skills. We just had the student organization fair yesterday, and it was packed. I mean, there were students wall to wall. So Mark, can you talk a little bit about why that is so important and why employers will often not choose somebody that just has a 4.0, but will choose somebody that has this more rounded experience in graduate school?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm actually wearing my one of my student organization T-shirts today. So we had a meeting earlier this morning for a club called the Product Base. I'm the faculty advisor for it. And Monica, you're absolutely right. When I see students participating and engaged in one of the 70 plus student clubs we have here in JSOM, the outcomes they're able to achieve are just far better. They're getting multiple job offers, right? They're happier because they're engaging with people outside of the classroom. They have a friend group, a cohort that they're going through and sharing their experiences with, and right, they're actually getting to practice leadership skills and management skills. All of our student clubs are student run and student led, and the student leaders are putting into practice what they're studying in the classroom when it comes to leadership, when it comes to management, when it comes to conflict resolution. And so all of that just comes across as a real confidence builder and confidence booster when they go and talk to employers. And so, again, kind of coming back to the outcome side of things, when I look at the outcomes that students who participate in student clubs achieve upon graduation, right, they're just really kind of second to none. So just there are lots of positive aspects to participating in a student org. There are lots of different student orgs out there. Some are focused on an academic area or academic discipline. Others are more philanthropic. So we have the Infinity Lions Club, which looks to give back to the community, right? So there's a club for everyone, and I'd encourage you to participate.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I think you said that so well. And it's really difficult to change a student's mind when they think that a 4.0 is more important than, maybe a 3.9 or a 3.8 or a 3.7 and a lot of engagement. Employers want to hire people that can demonstrate that they can be agile, they can be a fit, they can handle leadership. I think the other really important thing about student orgs that I would add is that so often these student orgs are engaging alumni, and these alumni are also employed. So these are people that are talking about, what it's like to work at company X or company Y. They could be somebody that you could network with, that maybe if you get an interview at company X or company Y, you'll be in a better position to reach out to that alum and say, hey, I got an interview for this project manager role at your company. What advice do you have for me in preparing for that interview? So you look at those 70 plus student organizations, and so many of them are tied specifically to a discipline, an academic discipline, your degree program. And if they're bringing in alums, that's your opportunity to network. And we taught you how to do that in MAS 6102, professional development. So, get in there and get after it. I want to talk a minute about something that Mark said, because it gives me an opportunity to give a live commercial for something. One of our student organizations is the Dean's Council. And every year the Dean's Council holds an annual tradition of this school. And this year they are putting on the 10th annual Owlie Awards. And the Owlie Awards, I know that a lot of you see that beautiful silver owl that sits in our courtyard, whose name is Wise. The tradition is if you pat Wise before you take an exam, you get a better grade. I don't know if I can quantifiably prove that, but I feel it. The Owlies are after our owl, who is kind of like our school mascot, and Owlie stands for Outstanding Worthy Leaders Involved Exceptionally. So we have our own version of the Oscars, the Academy Awards, and we recognize leadership in these student organizations, leadership in our degree programs, leadership by our faculty. We want to recognize and celebrate that at the Owlies, which this year are on April the 17th at 4:00. Come get your seat. It's a big event. It's got entertainment. We have all these great awards, these beautiful trophies that are really a work of art that we give out. Come celebrate your peers, your faculty, our alums, employers who are recognized for their outstanding, worthy leadership. And we want to do that every year. So there are lots of dividends to making the most of a moment in your classes, giving it your all, even when it's hard. Don't minimize and just say, I'm going to do the minimum to get that B. Always maximize to get the most. Maximize in student organizations, maximize with academic certificates, maximize in engagement, and don't think that you've got to focus everything on one thing. I think one of the most disappointing moments for me is when our students fail the professional development class. It is just crazy. That class is a 1 credit hour class, should be the easiest thing. You don't even get an A, you get a pass or you get a fail. And students fail it because they come into their degree program so serious about their courses that they're spending all their time in their courses, or they're spending all their time getting an internship, which they can't really get for 2 long semesters. And then they end up blowing off this course where they failed to make the most of the moment. They were treating professional development as if it was a rehearsal. It isn't a rehearsal. It is something you got to pay attention to and you got to get after. So, wow, I'm getting really animated here. let me control myself and come back down to reality. We know that you also have a life, and you've got to balance what's going on in your personal life, your academic life, and your social life. And so if you're challenged by any aspect of anything, if you're having trouble in your classes, go to office hours, see your faculty member, visit with the TA, take advantage of those additional resources that are listed in your syllabus. Identify a student in your class who can help you that you know is doing really well. If you're struggling with your personal life, anxiety or depression or something that you feel like you don't have control over and you can't make the most of the moment because of that, we got a great counseling center on campus. Go to the counseling center, go to the medical center, get the support and the help that you need. Your program directors are all knowledgeable about all of these resources. So don't get to the end of the semester, and I'm going to use a phrase that it's been stuck with me probably since high school. None of you want to suffer from the shoulda, coulda, woulda syndrome. I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. So stop the shoulda, woulda, coulda and make the most of the moment, and don't treat this as a practice for doing it better the next time. Now, do we all want to agree that I brought the beginning and I tied it to the end? Yay! So Norma, I do want to address any questions that you might have gotten from anybody who's in attendance. I do want to pop back to Angela or Mark if there's any concluding commentary on the philosophical topic today that you guys want to add.
So we do have a couple questions before we
Sure.
get to that. So the first one has to do with the certificates that we were discussing earlier. We have a couple attendees who are looking at the page and we're wondering, what is the difference between an academic and a professional certificate?
Oh, that is a really great question. So an academic certificate is something that you must apply for. You must actually go through an application. In a professional certificate, you don't. That is just something that you're taking, and they might give you a little paper certificate at the end, but it is not an academic credential. So, but there can be really great skills in a professional certificate as well. So I don't want to devalue it just because it isn't an academic certificate. You apply for an academic certificate, you participate in a professional certificate. That's a great question.
So this next question is about our student organizations. This person's wondering if our student organizations are welcoming. Do they have a screening process, or how do they get to join some of these?
Oh, wow, we've never been asked that question before. That's a great question. So generally speaking, majority of our organizations are open access, meaning you just join. You go to our page, and Norma, you can put that into the chat, the student org page, contact them and just become a member. There are some which are like the Dean's Council. You have to actually apply and be admitted to the Dean's Council. It is a more elite evaluation process. Mark, there are a bunch of leadership councils associated with every degree. Can you talk about that process for becoming involved in a leadership council?
Yeah, so most degree programs have a student leadership council, and to become a member of a degree program student leadership council, there typically is an interview process and an application process you have to go through. So just kind of be aware of that. Obviously, if you want to join one, they're very welcoming. They'll talk about the process. They're very open about the process, but they're really looking for students who are committed to that particular club and are willing to give over the course of the semester that they're going to be a member, or the period of time they're going to be a member. So that's a little bit about those clubs work differently than most of the other clubs, as Monica mentioned, right? Most of the other clubs are extremely welcoming. They love new members. They often have free food or snacks. So please go and join a club and talk to as many as you want.
Yeah, Mark, that just reminds me of just one of my favorite student stories. We had a student, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer, who decided that he was going to be financially disciplined on his budget and what he spent on food because he had a limited budget. And this guy decided he would make a commitment for a year to look at the Comet calendar for UT Dallas, which includes all of JSOM, and he would go to any event where there was free food and it was open. This guy did it for an entire year. He would get 1 or 2 free meals a day. And at the end of it, he came back to visit with me and he said, man, I went to like neuropsychology sessions. You know, I learned about hearing loss. I went to some things in engineering that I still don't know what they were talking about. Now, he did say that he ate an inordinate amount of pizza, but the guy saved 2/3 of his eating budget. And I just always crack up because, and he said that he was really glad that he did it. In fact, he learned some things that he didn't plan on learning that really changed how he gave philanthropically and where he invested his time outside of class. So cool.
That's a great story. I'm going to go to bring Angela onto the screen because our next question has to do with graduation. We have a couple of attendees who are going to be graduating this semester, and they kind of wanted to know if there's any important deadlines or information that they should keep in mind for that.
Yes, thank you, Norma. So the next or the final deadline for graduation is March 1st. So don't wait that long. We have less than a month now. So if you have not contacted us to make you eligible or activate your link in Orion, please do so today. It's very simple. You email JSOM GR Advising. We will check your graduation tracking to make sure that you are ready to go and that your current final classes are the classes that you need for graduation. Once we determine that, we will activate your link in Orion, and then you click through the link. And you also can apply to go to the ceremonies, which will be, I believe, the week of May 10th, somewhere around there. So you can start doing the planning for that as well. So please contact us as soon as you can, because the last day to apply will be March 1st.
And we are having 5 graduation ceremonies this May. More ceremonies than we've ever had for the Jindal School. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of celebrating going on. If you're graduating and you think you want to apply to be a graduation student commencement speaker, pay attention to that and do it.
Yes.
And one more follow-up question in regards to graduation. So I'm going to bring Angela back. If they're doing their MS program or MBA, whatever the case may be, and also a certificate, do they have to apply for graduation twice, or how does that work?
Yes. So you will be applying to each program that you are in separately. So if you are an MS student and an MBA student separately and a certificate student, you will have applications for all 3 of those. So reach out to us for, of course, for your MS degree. If you are a double student, MS, MBA, reach out to us so we can make you eligible in Orion. If you are an MBA student, reach out to your MBA advisor, mba@utdallas.edu. And if you are a certificate student, reach out to the program that houses that certificate so that they can check your account and also activate your link.
Perfect. Thank you. Dr. Powell, I'm bringing you back to the screen, and I don't have any more questions at this time.
All right. Well, I'm going to challenge the 3 of you, including you, Norma. All right. You guys ready? What are you going to be making the most of the moment in the next week of your life? Because we're all not perfect humans. I mean, you know. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to answer first. So I'm going to set the bar reasonably average. I am going to make the most of my Monday through Friday Fit Body Boot Camp workout sessions. And I am going to give 100%, even if I feel like I'm going to die in that moment. So, okay, Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. You know, so I had a boss a while back, and you know, he talked about winning every day, and so for me, that's what I'm looking to do. That's one of my goals. I wake up every morning. I have a to-do list, right? We all have to-do lists. We all have things that we're working on, that we're thinking about, and I want to win that day. I want to get to the end of the day and say, okay, I accomplished what I set out to do, and I accomplished what's on my to-do list and met my objectives, right? So that's my goal.
I'll go ahead and go next. as something that we were talking about earlier this morning was I have this habit of waking up at 5 a.m. no matter what, no matter how late I stay up. So I'm going to make the most of my time in the morning. And instead of spending it on an electronic device, I'm going to try to take my dogs out for a walk instead, get some fresh air, and do that.
Whoa, Norma, that is big and bold. Go, Norma, go.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
man.
you're bringing up the
Oh, me?
end. Angela,
Well,
what are you going to do?
Well, okay. It kind of goes with kind of what Norma and you are doing. I'm going to actually take a lunch and go for a walk because in the past, 4 weeks, I have not had an actual lunch break because it has been hectic and crazy. So I'm going to take time to have a real lunch where I'm not eating at my desk.
Oh, I love all of those, you guys. And I have no doubt that, like our students, you know, we're going to be as successful as we can be because we're going to be disciplined about it. We're going to be okay if we don't win every single day or we don't make the best of every moment. But I think it's all comes down to attitude. If you want it, you're going to be a lot more successful than if you don't make it a priority. So really, for all of you that are watching this particular chat with the Graduate Dean, thanks for joining us today. We're really grateful that you took time out of your busy day to do that. I want to thank Mark and Angela and Norma for being here. I always enjoy these conversations and I always love it because it seems like every month after, a couple of students will stop me and will give me their thoughts on my philosophical conversation of the month, and I hope that makes a difference. So everybody get after it, make the most of the rest of your semester and the absolute most of the rest of your life. We'll see you guys in another month. Thanks so much for joining us today.